All right, as you tweeted this morning, it sounds like we're going to get a Mahle Berrios melee at Target Field on Friday night, Patrick. The ghost of Twins pitching past and the ghost of Twins pitching future.
Got to be 35 grand for that one, doesn't there? When you got Toronto in town, I think do they still shoot off fireworks on Friday nights too?
I think that's right.
And you got Mahle versus Berrios. You got to be there, don't you? Everybody should be feeling good about the Twinkies here, so it should be fun. It should be a jumping evening at Target Field, that's for sure.
Yeah. So
I'm interested to see Mahle. I gotta think. As much as I click around and watch ball games, I don't think I've ever watched him pitch. I don't know what it did. I think is he crafty? Has he got good stuff? I'm not even sure what, I look at his record and it's okay. And the ERA is 4.40, but in Cincinnati, you can take a run off that. That's the bandbox of all time. So, except for Yankee Stadium. So I'm anxious to see him pitch.
Mm-hmm.
So, Patrick, have you, this team came here from Washington in 1961. Do you recall a trade deadline since then that was as active as what we saw from Derek Falvey on Tuesday?
I'm really trying to think about that. They did some stuff. The trade deadline was not like, ooh, we got to do it now thing. When they first came here in the 60s, all of a sudden you'd pop up in June and there'd be a trade for Jim Perry or something like, you'd make a trade with Cleveland. They used to trade with Cleveland a lot. So I think the trade deadline was earlier than too.
It was June.
End of June, right? End of
June.
Yep. So
mid-June at one point.
And certainly there was no ESPN and no Twitter and no anything to say, you got to do something now. So, I don't think there has been. Shannon Stewart, actually, that was a bigger deal than we thought it was at the time, that he turned out to be that good. And but as far as, I still have a hard time putting the Sandy Leon, even though he was yesterday's hero, in there as part of the whole thing. But as far as making 3 trades, no, I don't think that's. I cannot recall anything to compare with that. And I guess I would have to. Baseball Reference will provide you with anything, but I guess you could go back and look at all the transactions from each year and see what happened around the trading deadline. But I can't think. I mean, we traded Burt one year, 76, but that was in early June. That was not a trading deadline. That was, that was a pretty big trade back then. But I think it was June 1st or 2nd, something like that, when they traded him to Texas. So, no, that's I declared this as the most aggressive trading deadline in 62 years, and I'm just basing that on my own memories.
So, why do you think? And I guess it's hard to look back before the Thad Levine and Derek Falvey era. Because Terry Ryan would have his own reasons, but at the Metrodome and then maybe even early Target Field. But just in the current regime's era, why would they do this now this year, but not do it 2019? 2020 was a weird pandemic shortened season. But yes. What do you think? What do you think the conversations were like? Was it, hey guys, at some point we got to put some chips on this year's table? Why?
Very good question. Yeah, I mean, you're talking about. I know you mentioned 2019 again the other day, that when last week when I was predicting one trade of not great significance.
Yeah.
That we were kind of going back to 2019 when that team they didn't need as much help as this team needed, but they certainly had higher prospects for doing something. I mean, it is hard to believe how down we got on these guys when it was only 2 years ago. They won 100. They won 101 and set a world record for home runs. So, but I have no idea. I'd have to kind of go back and, I kept thinking as this was occurring, and we just talked about the tip of the iceberg here on Tuesday when we were talking, and Duckland told us that they had made the first trade, the big trade to Jorge Lopez, and I thought, okay, hey, that's pretty good. It's a pretty good day, right? And to have him come bring in 2 more pitchers was pretty untwins like, but I don't know what the reason was back there in 2019. I cannot tell you that. Certainly, there was more reason to believe that team could get something done in the postseason than there is this team. So I don't know, but one thing that's got to happen here is you got to get some outfielders healthy. God Almighty! Yesterday they're starting out. Now they didn't want to play Buxton because he's coming back from another knee drain. They didn't want to play him in the field. And Celestino was off with his wife having a baby. But they started 3 left-handed hitting outfielders against a left-handed pitcher. And none of those were your top 3 left-handed hitting outfielders. They're all, Kirilloff, Kepler, and Larnach, all not around. So right now, once they've certainly given themselves a chance to fix this bullpen, you wonder what they got to get healthy in the outfield. Man alive, you can't have Nick Gordon playing center field. Somebody's got to tell Nick when the ball's in the air, you're supposed to go and catch it. You're not supposed to come jogging in and play it on 2 hops for a base hit.
Jake Cave, he'll tell him.
Jake would have ran after him.
I know.
He would have given up immediately. He would have dived. He would
have dived and slid right to shortstop or something.
Bring back.
Well, he was in left field. Jake. He could have played center.
Bring back diving Jake instead of jogging Nick. What the hell was with the second one when Fulmer comes in? That's a routine out for Mackey's Buffalo 14-year-old team, and
I had a fly ball bounce off my head one time.
Yeah, but you were trying, damn
Thanks,
it.
Jose Canseco.
I got under it, yeah.
So, but did. We only got to see 7 pitches, but I can tell you, Rocco is so excited about Jorge Lopez.
Oh my gosh! Yeah. Think about now you can run those guys out there, Lopez and Duran, for more than an inning at a time. But even if they just use those guys for an inning, good luck in the 8th and the 9th against those guys. Yeah. Yesterday was a great blueprint where you pull your really good starting pitching performance after 5 innings because that's the rule. And then instead of going to 3 relievers and crossing your fingers, you bring in Fulmer for an inning, and then maybe you sprinkle in somebody else.
Thielbar, where did that come from? He was throwing bullets yesterday. Where did that come? I think they've been disappointed in him. I think he, fell in love with the sloppy curveball, and but he came in and was throwing great, and then the other 2 guys. But what Rocco says is, that's a real sinker that he throws, and it's 97, Lopez. That's not that's 2-3 miles an hour faster than Duran's real sinker, right?
They call that a heavy fastball in the industry.
Yeah. So, he was, it's, he was giddy yesterday, to say the least. I got a question. Why do they keep sending this Moran guy out? He's a lefty with good stuff.
It is weird. It's not like they have 6 lefties on call.
No, they don't have it. And McGill, they keep him, and he throws hard, but they never use him. Yeah. They always, those you're going to use Griffin Jacks in the 6th inning 3 days in a row before you're going to use this guy. If they like him, pitch him. If not, what the hell is he doing there? What are you waiting for? I don't get. So it's nice to get back to find something to complain about with this.
I was going to say, very good job of coming back with some bullpen gripes.
Yes, not.
Well, they're still only playing at an 85 win pace. We need to, stick them with a cattle prod once in a while.
They got Toronto until they got beat yesterday has been hotter than hell, and the best hitting team in I think they got the highest team batting average in baseball, and so. It'll be a little more of a test, to say the least. But,
sure.
It's gonna be fun this weekend. I really, I'm looking forward to Mahle and Brios and whatever else happens. And having those Toronto rowdies roaming the streets. They'll put some life downtown. The club around the corner there that has entertainment will have a good crowd in it. And
The Canadians love that. Yep, there's no question about
they
it.
do.
They love the Seville.
Yes, they do.
Oh, really? The Blue Jays fans are packing the
Winnipeg.
Seville, huh?
Oh, those people know how to party, my man.
They'll tell the
Canadian
wife,
fans know how to party. Just get the
you
Molson
get to
out.
go to the you get to go to the Mall of America. We got something else to do.
Yep.
You go out.
So
shop.
if you put a 2-for-1 Molson sale sign outside of just a little like a little board outside
We
of
could make
the
a
doors
mint.
of the Seville.
Declan and I could make
Yeah.
a mint this weekend.
I'm more of a Labatt Blue kind of guy, but I can dabble into some Molson
Okay.
if we're doing Canadian beer. I'm just saying.
All right.
Hey, just a random thing. Did you? Who was watching the game the Twins lost Tuesday night?
I watched it.
Yeah,
I think
it was-
I was watching part of it,
That-
maybe all of it.
That throw Baez made from the hole.
Oh,
That was unbelievable. That's one of the best arms I've ever seen. He's not hasn't turned into be the great player that we thought he was, and the Tigers probably really overpaid him. He's nothing compared to Correa as a day-to-day guy. But God Almighty, what a throw! And last night I happened to be watching the first inning of the
Padres.
San Diego game.
Yeah.
oh man.
They get 5 in the bottom of the first with a salami by Drury, and that stadium they were showing shots, and the stadium is overflowing out there. In the I didn't look to see what the crowd was, but even when they've been good, they haven't packed them in out there. But that's pretty good marketing, bringing in Soto, Bell, and another guy,
Hater, yeah.
and Hater, and that place was.
But then that's on the heels of they brought in Machado and even though they then ate $40 million to get rid of Hosmer, they were willing to sign Hosmer. I mean, they're
and
just
they had Tatis taking BP last
Yeah,
night.
he
too.
starts.
smart.
He starts his rehab assignment on Friday. So at the very end, the poor Padres are going to have to add Tatis back too.
And at the end, you're still going to be 14 games behind the Dodgers and have to play in the.
But it'll be great.
Oh yeah, it'll be terrific. It'll be there's a very good chance that the first round series could be the Mets and the Padres. That'd be great.
We were looking this up yesterday or a couple days ago. I pulled up the 2021 Major League Baseball Forbes revenue information and stuff because it's always kind of been my contention that people rip on the poll ads for being cheap, and my comeback is always, I think my rip is that they're not really curious. It's like owners are going to operate within the revenue that they bring in, and owners aren't looking to actively take a loss unless you're Mike Ilitch on your deathbed 10 years ago, and he basically said, I don't care if I lose money. We'll go get Miguel Cabrera, all these guys. But the Padres are sort of flipping the script. Yeah. Last year, they took a $35 million organizational loss with all the salaries they brought in. And they're probably going to lose more this year by eating Hosmer's $40 million and whatnot. So they're one of the teams, maybe one of the only teams that's saying actively, we're going to overspend our revenue because we're sick of getting drummed by the Dodgers, right?
Yes. And you know what? It's going to be pretty easy for them to own the town since there's nobody else there. You got to beat out San Diego State basketball and the Gulls play in some hockey league, and
right downtown.
Nobody's in town, so it should be. I like that ballpark too. You guys been there?
Oh yeah,
no, never.
It's incredible.
Really?
Yeah,
I've never been there.
Good ballpark, and they've never really. I mean, San Diego, there's just too much going on. They've never really captured the heart of the town there, except maybe the year they went to the World Series. And when the ball went through Bull Durham's legs. And,
don't remind me, Pat.
Bull doesn't get enough attention for that. Billy Buck gets a lot more.
He Bucknered before Buckner.
Yeah.
It's the last time I cried about a sporting event.
It was fun to watch. I watched quite a bit of that game last night. It was kind of fun to watch. So,
Pat, we haven't talked to you since Tuesday night. Your thoughts on Vince Scully's passing?
I've sat next to him in a couple of press rooms in Dodger Stadium in the back and overheard him. I might even been at a table with him, but I have no real memory of him except, what's astounding? You know who did the 1965 World Series? Who the national broadcasters were? Vince Scully from the Dodgers and Ray Scott from the Twins. That's how they did it back then. They took, because I remember Harry doing it for the Cardinals for 1 year when it was like steamy hot, and that's how they did it back then. But that couldn't have been better, man. Scully and Scott doing that World Series. It is astounding. You got a guy who was there as a backup announcer when Bobby Thompson hit his home run in 1950. He was 23 years old. I looked it up. He was a 23-year-old kid. Somehow he talked his way into a backup announcing job, and he was, Does anybody around here remember Bobby Thompson's home run? Yeah, me. I was there doing the game, Vince Scully. So
the most amazing thing, and I only started listening to him in like in the late 90s and going forward. So I missed about a half century of Vince Scully, but even in his older age, he would tell these stories that just weaved in and out of like a five, and somehow and it wasn't ever, hey, I'm halfway through a story and the final batter pops out and now I need to stop my story to go to commercial break. For whatever reason, he was always able to finish every story that he told seemingly, and the batter would foul off 6 pitches if needed to get there with 2 outs.
Yeah, that was a great quote. Chip did a column today, and one guy talked to Bremer, whose personal memories, Provis, Joe Christensen, who once was the chapter chairman for the LA baseball writers, and he's a kid from Riverside, and he had to introduce Vin when they named the press box at him, and he was shaking and Provis. But Bremer actually had a vintage Vin thing, because he said he only talked to him once, but they talked for 15 minutes about the 1965 World Series. And then when he went back to the hotel, the game was on again, and Vince was telling all these stories about, weaving. His theme for the night was weaving in stories about the 65 Twins and the 65 Dodgers, and a memorable World Series, to say the least. 7 games, and Koufax on 2 days rest beats the Twinks 2-0. And he was, I think, kind of like Ernie Harwell, a different kind of announcer. But Ernie used to always come down to the batting cage, and he'd always remember everybody. And he was friendly with all the writers, and you would BS with him down there by the cage, and he'd kind of pick your brain a little bit about what's going on, and then he'd go upstairs and have that talk to the ballpark. I'm not sure Vin was as good with names as Ernie, but Ernie was. That's a great skill, remembering people's names.
Yeah, Judd.
I don't got it. I certainly don't have it.
I'm not great at it either, but I'm paired with Judd, so I look like a genius remembering names.
So Sharkman, when I was with Sharkman last week in Cooperstown, he was giving me something I'd never heard from Gallardi, but one of Gallardi's pet peeves was when somebody just walked up to him and said, "Hey, you remember me, John?"
Yeah.
He said, walk up, say, "Hey, Bill Smith."
Yeah, exactly.
Good to see you again. And he said, and then I can say, "Well, of course I remember you,
yes.
Bill.
I love it.
How's the family?"
Yes,
And
it's on the person walking up, 100%.
God would say, but instead you come up and say, "I'm so bleeping important in my own mind that this guy who's met 100,000 people should remember me." And he said Gallardi would go through a tirade about that to his team about 5 times a year. That was just hilarious.
This fits in with my lifestyle very well.
But 100%
I like this.
accurate. Hey,
Yes.
Do you remember me?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
That's
The answer is no.
Yeah, no.
No.
I used to, but I'm not.
You know, I will say I practiced this exact thing one time when I walked. I shadowed Tim McNiff when I was in 8th grade, and I got to spend a day with Tim McNiff in 1998 at Care 11.
Yes,
And
great
I
guy.
saw Tim McNiff at a Vikings practice in like 2010 or something. 12 years later, working in the media now, and I walk up to Tim, and I did exactly what John Gallardi would have said. I said, "Tim, it's Phil Mackey at
Yes,
1500
yes,
ESPN. I
good.
shadowed you when I was in 8th grade at Care 11, and I just wanted to come up and say hi
Yeah.
and say thanks." And he
And you
pauses for 2 seconds, and he goes, "Doesn't ring a bell."
Good.
Now that is either satire or bad. You know, McNiff and I are related, don't you?
No, I didn't know that.
I don't know what the relation is, though.
Ah,
But my uncle Frank O'Rourke was his great uncle Frank on the other side of the family,
Yeah.
all through marriage and stuff like that. So, like sixth cousin or something like
He's
that.
part of the family. I didn't
Yeah, but
even know.
McNiff and I, hey, cuz, I'd always say to him, hey, cuz, how you doing? Because we all had we had a favorite uncle who was the same on very different types of sides of the family.
Yeah.
So,
And we've since in the last 10 years become friendly just through like, the local media circle, but he's to my knowledge he still has no recollection at all whatsoever.
yeah, well, he didn't get the second part of the Gallardi thing, which is, of course. I
what a
remember
great
you.
day.
you were in
Yes,
8th grade when he did it.
yes.
He thought this little punk is never going to go into the business. He's in 8th grade. He doesn't care.
Of course, he remembers you, and then
So-
he says, and then you can both feel good. He says you don't have to have somebody. You don't have to have somebody.
How are the kids doing? I don't have kids. That's
Kid,
right.
yeah.
I thought,
Oh, you never go too far there. You're just like, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, God, yeah. You
How's
never ask about
how's your
personal
wife?
stuff.
She died of
No.
cancer,
Say
remember?
kids. All you gotta say is how's the
Family.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, of course I was talking. I knew you were single. I was talking about your aunt and uncle.
The
Yeah,
key line is,
you're-
how are you? You never ask about the family. You ask about you because you can keep it short then because you don't care about the
The
family.
other thing about Gallardi is, he used to have 150 players on the team, and he only gave a damn about 18 of them. And the rest of them, they'd put 100 of them would just go over there and throw the football to each other. They'd ignore them completely, but they'd get to run down the hill on Saturday, so they all liked that.
Yeah.
When when he used to run his camp, when it was legal, he'd bring in 15 players for the first week to do the offense, right? And then he'd bring in 15 defensive players for the second week. And then the next 20 guys would come in, but the rest of them didn't get to come until school started,
Yeah.
because he didn't want to feed them. So, and then he's got the guy, remember John? They come up, John, I played for you. Remember me? I played for you. How can I remember? The guy never got in the field. How the hell am I supposed
Yeah,
to?
they didn't even cap their roster, right?
I
They said
didn't even
100,
know
150 guys.
I didn't even know who his name. I didn't know what his name was when he was here. How am I supposed to remember?
Yeah, I was uniform number 173. Remember me?
Right. Yeah, I was your third number 12. Remember that? The one that sat there on the sideline. I thought that was that's a very logical old guy. The Wicker and I had during the what series was it? 82, I guess, way back then. Went to Stan Musial's restaurant for dinner. Stan was still alive. Al Hurt was in there with him. He and Al Hurt were buddies. Al Hurt was playing the trumpet, and Stan was playing the harmonica. But Stan was hammered, and he got up and made a little speech to the crowd about the key to success. Shake hands, look them in the eye, shake their hands, and remember their name. Those were the three things to remember. But when he got up and said that, he forgot to remember their name. He forgot 3 things, but he forgot to say.
Oh.
the third
Stand
thing.
up,
It
shake
it
their
was a-
hand, and
It was a great night to have a drunk Stan Williams, Stan Musial there before the first game of a World Series in St. Louis. It was a hoot, to say the least.
well,
Anyway, Twins, what the hell? We got little to complain about that.
let's go do it. Let's go do it. We can complain about Miguel Sano's tenure being over next time. Maybe tomorrow we can
Why
do
do you
that.
think Sandy Leone isn't the difference maker in the history of the world? But I wonder why. I get he was in AAA with Cleveland, right? He wasn't.
So he's one of my favorite. If you thought Drew Butera was having trouble
God.
swinging his way out of a wet brown paper bag, Sandy Leone has been in the major leagues for 11 years. Actually, let's call it 9 years of being a regular backup. He has batted below 200 in 6 of those years.
Did you see his target field numbers?
They're
Pretty good.
18
Great.
to 42.
Yeah.
Something like that. Atterbury put that on Twitter last night.
That's
when
great.
Or yesterday afternoon when he got he's got like 30% of his hits in target field.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah, he's but it tells you how I wouldn't say unhappy, but skeptical they are about Sanchez behind the plate. This guy's going to play a lot. I don't think the pitchers like throwing to Gary.
Yeah.
And I think he gives you the effort, but I just don't think they like throwing to him.
I think that this guy can also actually frame the ball. I think he actually has the ability to frame a pitch and not decide to take it from 6, feet off the plate and run it back towards the plate.
Yeah,
He's an actual catcher.
I think that they, kind of like the way he guides people around.
Yeah.
Too, so. Hey, one reason you mentioned him hooking Joe Ryan, and I heard Provis saying this yesterday. I think they are. He hasn't pitched any innings really since 2018 or 19. I think one thing is if he can get him out of there, and because they know they got to get him to the finish line, right? He's
Yes.
gotta get
They need him in October.
So if they can save
I heard
him
the same
an inning,
thing.
they can save him an inning here or there, they're going to do it, and now they can. So
Yep.
anyway, that was fun. Hey,
Yep.
what the hell?
All right. We got a fun stretch run coming up. We'll talk to you tomorrow, Pat.
All right, Joe.
See ya.
See you.
All right. Rapping with Royce, presented by Federated. Federated's been around for over 100 years, almost as long as Patrick. And they help businesses maximize their level of success through risk management tools and resources. Their corporate culture grounded in equity, integrity, teamwork, and respect, just like Judd. And you can find out more at federatedinsurance.com, where it's our business to protect yours. Mm-hmm.